Why were you so good?
I don't know.
I do the intro to the actual podcast. God damn it. One time we'll get it good. We'll get it tight.
One of these days.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to ProducerHax, a game dev podcast where we talk about video games and the game industry and making games and what we think's cool and hip and shit like that. That's about all I had for the intro. I lost my train of thought because you tried to start talking.
I wanted to start
and it
talking.
It killed
I felt
me.
like I wanted to talk there. Yeah.
It's July 31st.
It is. Holy shit.
Sunday, July 31st.
Crazy.
Summer's gone too fast, although it's been the summer of thunder, I almost think.
Yeah. Holy jeez.
Just crazy
Every
storms.
day, even noon. Like it's like lunch hour. It's like, fuck it, you get a thunderstorm.
Yep. No, too bad for you. Want to go for a walk?
Thunderstorm.
No lunch for you.
Why?
So today on the podcast, we've been gone for a couple of weeks due to travel and babbles. But yeah, to start off, my name's Blair, producer at Bioware, make the video games. What do you do, Mr. Sir next to me?
Billy, producer at Bioware, I think, still.
Well,
We'll find out.
You're on baby sabbatical.
Yeah, exactly.
You got
we'll
times
find
off.
out in a few weeks if I'm still welcome back in the building or not. if I've broken all the rules or not. So
You do generally break rules.
I try. I do everything I can to get
you're
as
a
much
troublemaker.
trouble.
Yeah.
Exactly. So,
rabble rouser.
yeah.
Is that what it is?
This is a thing I've heard before.
Rabble
yeah.
rouser.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, today's podcast, we'll do the normal thing. We'll talk about what we've been playing, or just I guess I've played a bit, but it's more what happened in San Diego.
Hey, you were down there.
I was down there for work. Can't talk about that, but I can talk about just how awesome Comic-Con was.
Yeah.
You obviously had another huge life moment.
Did something recently. Yeah.
And then we'll get into Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
And
I've
augmented
heard
reality.
People have heard about this before.
I think it's a
There
thing.
might be
We're here to inform you of this new.
I don't think anyone's. I'm speculating.
Nobody's
I don't
played
think
it yet.
people have really
No,
played
they don't know
this.
what's
They
about-
don't
what's
know
coming
to
down
get
the
in.
pipe.
Yeah, so we'll try to let you know in that little
We're
indie
so
title.
far ahead of the game
Yeah.
on this one
Yeah, totally.
that
totally.
people are going to be blown away when we tell them
Yeah.
what's happening.
So
So to start, yeah, Billy. So I guess what's going on?
well, for the last we'll call it for the last 9 months. My wife and I were working on a project, and we finally released that last Saturday. So yeah, I got brand new Babel in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Sleep is not
Gone.
happening.
Sleep's going. Not like you sleep anyways.
I don't sleep a whole lot, but
It's stream until 4 a.m.
especially bad right now. But yeah, a brand new baby girl. So that was very exciting on Saturday last week. Our daughter's still kind of getting used to being, a big sister right now, but it's a lot of fun. My folks are in town right now, so
Yeah, no,
a lot
awesome.
of things going on. You got to, I think, meet Babel briefly.
Yeah, it was
upstairs
it was
while I
absolutely
was
passed
setting
out,
things up
and I
down
was
here.
like, cool. And just
You are
carried-
a Babel.
I just carried on with my day. Is how that
Yeah,
went.
so
Also, you just crossed 1,000 Twitch followers, which is huge.
yeah,
I find the 1,000's a pretty good milestone. When you
I think so. Yeah, I was actually. It's funny. I've been watching. Like in downtime right now, I'm not watching or playing games the way I was a few weeks ago. I've been watching a lot of YouTube recently, and Casey Neistat. I think I'm late to the game on that one too.
Yeah, he's
but
the
he's
350th top YouTube. He's
He's
number
all-
350. Yeah, he has.
all of YouTube. Yeah,
I don't know.
3.9 million subscribers.
He's the
I think, so.
350th top YouTuber based on subscriber numbers.
Yeah,
I think that's how you say
yeah.
it.
He's really entertaining, but I thought it was really fun because he was explaining in a video. I guess there was a conference called VidCon recently, and he was kind of explaining that getting from 0 to 1 is the hardest thing you do, and then getting 1 to 10 is the hardest thing to do, and then 10 to 100 and so on and so forth. And he's like, yeah, and he's like, getting to 10 was harder than getting to like 100, and getting to 100 was harder than getting to 1,000. 1,000 was harder than getting to 10,000,
Right.
and so on. It's just because like once you start getting a bit of momentum, it kind of picks up. And
Things reach a tipping point.
Yeah, start moving on their own. So hitting 1,000 has been very interesting the last few days. It's definitely been I think pushed a little bit by something I'm doing on my channel right now, which is a giveaway focused around Destiny and a PS4. So,
Yep. Sweet.
yeah,
So
you
go
can
check that out.
Yeah, it's available. It's on my Twitter right now. It's there's a Gleam page you can go to, and you do all these different actions and
Awesome.
helps out. So yeah, it's very interesting. I kind of did it as a social experiment to see what impact something like that would have on just the channel growth. And the nice side effect actually is that it got us to over 100
ProducerHax.
ProducerHax YouTube this morning,
Which means
so we finally have a proper
URL.
URL. So if you go like this and you put this
don't put my stream key.
no Not this time.
Oh, do you have a bot?
We do. There it is, and it's the actual URL now. So
ProducerHax Gamedev podcast. Jesus, that's long.
It's long, and I realized afterwards it's because, you know, like if say Ehlien gets to that point where I had 100 on YouTube, it's Ehlien because that's what it registered as ages ago. But ProducerHax is a fairly new Gmail account, so it's just like,
no, mine's Blair Care Brown Drums, or no, mine's Blair Brown Drums. I can't change it because that's what I did with my YouTube channel.
Yeah,
5 years ago I was making YouTube drum videos.
Yeah, so things we're learning on the fly, right? It's been interesting, but
just want it to be the FIDZZ.
But yeah, other than that, just a lot of Destiny. Trying to still play a fair bit of Destiny. In between all, you know, life events going on right now, and then I'm off. I'm away from the studio for the next few weeks. I've been away for a week now just because the baby was born last weekend.
He has an awesome policy.
Yeah, I've got
that dads now get
4 total weeks. Yep. Yeah, and I elected to choose, I elected to take all 4 in a lump sum right now.
I think you can take it up to 1 year.
Yeah, and you can space it out however you want, but I went for the big 4 right out of the gate just because my wife and I live in Edmonton, but all of our family's back home in Winnipeg. Yep. So it made more sense to take a big chunk of time off now, get established, make sure everything's good to go. With a 2-year-old running around, almost 3-year-old now running around, it made sense to do this. Yep. So by the time I get back, Andromeda's probably going to be a different game.
It'll be shipped.
so many things will be just moved along. Right?
New anyway, baby, you're rocking the Gleam. We've crossed 100 in ProducerHax. You crossed 1,000 on your Twitch channel. Nothing but positive vibes.
Yeah, I ate some pizza on Friday. That was huge.
We ordered pizza last night.
Nice.
No, not nice.
No.
We'll have the stomachs just like. Remember, that's why you don't order from Pizza 73. It's
yeah, we did Domino's. I keep meaning to go back to Jack's there, man. That's a good place.
There's 2 pizza places opening up. Literally where that 7-Eleven is. 2.
Yeah, that's the ones. It's Jack's and the other one's like a Mill Woods one, something. Mill Creek something.
Mill Creek Pizza?
Yeah, that's
something
the one.
like that.
Yeah, they're like further out, but yeah, so.
Yep.
Anyway, they're good
pizza.
Times. Pizza, delicious, right? But also Cherry Coke Zero, delicious. You can't stop drinking it.
No.
You're gonna be addicted to it.
Well, I just need something.
I have 48 cans. I think I've drank like 4 of them already.
Jesus.
That's like 5 and 6 right there. I think
it's terrible.
Anyway, what have you been up to? You've been away and doing things too.
Went away around the same time. It's kind of why all of our schedules. Yeah, you were in Montreal, so we didn't stream that week, and then I went to San Diego, and then the baby.
And baby happened, yeah. So.
So I went down for Comic-Con for work. Won't get into that. Super secrets. You should actually, I don't even know if there's anything you could do.
No.
To be a part of the secrets. No.
Just keep being you.
Yeah, keep being you. Maybe one day. So we did that. That was a separate thing, and then we always have the we don't have a Bioware base like we do at the PAXs, just because it's a different. I don't know if Comic-Cons are. It's not our big con, right? Like it's more focused on comics, more focused on writing. So we do a partnership. Well, we have a lot of partnerships with Dark Horse. So we have like a little part of their huge booth that they always have, and we'll either do panels, signings. This year we just had our photo booth, so people could get their pictures taken with like props from the games and the swords and the shields and all that kind of stuff. So we did that. We were down there. I walked around. I don't know, maybe an hour. I don't spend too much time on con floors. At least.
It gets crazy.
The comic ones, it gets too crazy. I'm not the biggest comic book guy. I like the art, but I'm more the game. So like at a PAX or something, I'm all over that. Going early because the devs get in an hour early, get to play some games. They did have a pretty big game section, but not attached to the con. It was more in like the hotel beside it, I think. So that was tons of fun. And then I flew down about 5 days earlier, just hang out with some friends in LA. Took the train.
That sounds cool. When you told me what that, I was like, that sounds fucking awesome, man.
Train ride is the best ride. Like it.
I was worried you were gonna say it was like terrible. And
it was amazing. So it was 3 hours. So whatever.
That's not bad,
normal travel time. Because if I took a plane from LA to San Diego, it probably would have been about 3 hours.
Is it? Oh yeah, when you throw in like
check-in getting there. But with the train, we literally showed up 5 minutes before the train left. Walked right onto the train, sat down, and then the train just started rolling. Then, like an hour in, somebody comes by and they're like, "Oh, hey, you got your ticket?" It's like, "Oh yeah, yes."
Yeah, you show this ticket stub, right? Yeah.
And that's it. And it's just like there's a little drink cart or like a car. I don't know what they call them yet. Train cars, but it's like the lunch car. But you can grab beers and sandwiches and walk around. You don't have to stay seated. Man. You're not shoved into it. I paid the extra $10 to get first class because it's only like on a train. It's like $10 more, and I was like,
"Yeah, that's crazy, man."
Yeah, and there was just. a nice smooth ride. Like it just slowly
man.
goes down.
I
Oh, the
was so
weird thing
jealous.
with that train ride, you realize that Southern California doesn't. It's a city that never ends.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly.
You think
Like,
it's going to
there's-
be beaches, and
I think
there's
there's
a
like
bit of that.
there's an Air Force base that technically separates some of the towns. But that's it. It's the old Top Gun school.
It
Yeah.
You just keep driving and you're like, oh, I wonder when like the countryside's going to appear. It never appears.
Mm-hmm.
So we did that, and then obviously all the Comic-Con, got to meet a bunch of fans and a bunch of like the Sanchi people and Dark Horse people, like just some of our partners and stuff. It was awesome. It was tons of fun. Can't wait to go back. I was there 2 years ago. It was lots of fun as well.
Yeah.
Lots of good food, lots of good tacos. Love the Mexican
yeah.
food, Southern California. Oh,
And we're gonna be
so
down
good.
there again in late September.
Late September for TwitchCon.
TwitchCon, right? So that's gonna be super.
Yep, that's gonna be
awesome.
Well, here's the thing, Billy. What do you got going on? Your Gleam thing. It's directed towards something.
It is, yeah. So
What's happening? Because you're going to this one that I'm not going to. In
Yeah,
Florida.
it's interesting timing because I was really worried last year. I was trying to go to this event. It's called Destiny Community Con. It's put on by a few folks in the Destiny community. So King Gathalion, Professor Broman's been involved with the previous year and a little less this year just because he was getting married and everything else. But and crazy enough, Goth was buying a house. It was like really cool seeing these streams and pictures. And then K Magic 101, Kevin, also helping with that. And I've had a very good relationship, interfacing with all three of those guys, but also just that community. Destiny community is, I think, outside of the Bioware community, I think the one I relate to the most right now, and that's where I spend the vast majority of my gaming time, most of my streaming time.
Yeah, you play a hell out of that.
Yeah,
that Destiny
I love
game.
that game, right? I heard you played a little bit.
I play a little
point.
bit. I gotta come back.
Yeah,
Don't
at
worry.
some point we'll
Don't
get
worry.
you
I
in
just
there.
want to play by myself.
Yeah.
Our schedules are off.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. We got to sort that out.
The last couple weeks have been rough for both of us.
A little
in
bit
a good
weird,
way.
yeah,
Just busy.
exactly. Yeah, a lot of things going on. So, but yeah, at the end of August, August 27th is Saturday. There's a Destiny Community Con down in Tampa, Florida. I'll be traveling down there. I think I leave on like a red eye on like the Thursday
August
night.
7th?
August 27th.
Oh,
sorry.
27th.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like,
sorry.
oh, shit, it's like next week.
Yeah, and the timing is just really interesting because it was. I was like, oh, geez, that's like a month after the baby's due. And thankfully, we went and talked to our doctor a bit more. And we're like, oh, actually, the due date was a few days earlier. So I'm like, oh, this can maybe line up okay.
Yep.
So I think go back to the studio on the 22nd, which is the Monday, and then I missed the Friday of that week because that's I'm flying out on like Thursday at midnight from Edmonton.
Nice.
Get in. I fly from Edmonton to Toronto. Get there at like 5 in the morning, and then get to Tampa from Toronto at like 1 in the afternoon, I think. And then I check into my hotel, and I'm meeting folks like Lady Face Shred and a few other folks. Hopefully, folks like Frisky and a few others.
Yep.
So a lot of the community members are gonna be down there. I think they're saying there's like 2,600 tickets sold so far.
Wow.
Yeah, it's all going very cool event to all the proceeds. So they basically, it sounds like they covered the costs
With that shirt sale?
With that shirt sale, and I think my shirt's lying around here somewhere.
And this isn't a Bungie thing.
No,
That's
this
what's
is
impressive.
Purely the community
Yeah.
that is driving this. This is amazing
Yeah.
and really, really cool. It was like, wow, like I'd love to be able to do something like this down the road for something like Mass Effect or Bioware.
Yep.
Edmonton's
Sick.
obviously a little less maybe desirable of a location, but right now there's like a bunch of festivals going on in Edmonton. It would have been a fantastic week to do a festival here.
Yep.
With so many things going on. The
There's so
Spring
much stuff.
Festival is so world renowned, right?
Edmonton's
So
world renowned.
renowned. I don't know. Words.
Renowned.
Renowned. But anyway, yes, there's a lot going on. Looking forward to that event. And that kind of sparked a while ago. I'd done a stream, and actually, I think one of my YouTube videos said I purchased a few extra PlayStations ages ago when they were on sale, and so I got the Destiny Community King, the Destiny Taken King Special Edition PS4, and I got one. It's actually sitting behind the curtain here.
Billy's addicted to gear.
Totally love gear. There's no evidence whatsoever.
You're so lucky you're not a musician.
Oh God, like Twitch and everything is
No,
already terrible.
if you were a guitarist, it would.
Oh,
have been a
I know. I
disaster.
watched you watched Le French Stallion. He's got like 20 guitars. I'm like, that would be me.
No,
That would be me. It'd be terrible. It'd be horrible. But anyway, yeah. So I got one of those consoles, and then I was worried that the pre-order wouldn't arrive when I wanted it to. I do this all the time. I pre-order at 2 different locations, and then I usually will sell one off to someone else just because they couldn't get one, and I'm usually on top of these things, right? So
You're a crazy guy.
I got the second one, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be doing stuff where I'm gonna need to try and grow the channel over time. And I thought, well, if I get partnered at some point, then I would do a giveaway then. And then I started saying, well, you want that system to go out at a point where it's a high point in hype, and so before the next Destiny expansion comes out, Rise of Iron, in September, I wanted to be able to push up the channel a bit, and so Destiny CommunityCon happens in August. Said, okay, cool, we're gonna do this thing, and that's kind of sparked that. So
It's awesome.
yeah,
Sweet.
lots of stuff going on.
Sick moves,
Crazy.
yo.
I think we've covered the vast majority of things now. What's been going on?
No.
right?
What have you? We didn't do our actual thing. What have you been playing the last week?
Oh God, yeah, what am I playing? Destiny for the most part. Little game. Maybe a few people have heard about it.
Yep.
There may or may not.
We
be
only
a
play the
conference
small
down in
games.
Tampa. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I played a lot of NHL 17, the beta. That
Nice.
is really cool.
Do you like the Penguins?
I love the Penguins. There's no evidence whatsoever that this is the superior team and wins the Stanley Cup because of superiority, and
Just
not
wait.
winning the draft
The
pick
dynasty's coming
every
back.
year. Yeah.
The dynasty's coming back
Yeah.
to Edmonton, where it belongs.
Yeah. That new rink looks pretty cool.
Oh, it's a new rink.
I had an opportunity to buy some
Lushish.
tickets, and I should have probably taken it.
Lushish.
Lushish, yeah.
He's the guy you want on your team. He's the guy you hate if he's not
Yes,
on your team.
Yeah.
You're just like, that guy's the dirtiest, the worst player. He's on your team. You're like, he's
I
the
love
cleanest
him,
guy.
man.
He doesn't do anything wrong.
He practically invented sainthood.
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
I just noticed I'm player 1 and you're player 2.
You are, yeah.
Cool.
What's up with that, yo? Fuck that shit.
Winning.
Yeah. What have you been playing anything this week?
Overwatch.
Overwatch. Yeah.
I
Did you get a chance to stream this week?
No, I
I
didn't.
think you were tied up with other things going on. Right? So.
have been. I was really tired.
You were at a concert recently. Right?
I had a concert on Thursday. I had a gig the day I got back on Monday night.
Wow.
I was just like, I need some time off.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm ready to go tomorrow morning. I'll be hitting it again because I have the day off because it's the holidays.
Yes, that's true. That's
so
a
I'll
holiday
be
in Canada. I forgot about that.
Probably playing a lot of Overwatch, Makochi, if you want to join.
Or that Destiny.
I could if you're
We'll
if you're
see.
on in the morning, let's
Maybe,
play some Destiny.
Yeah, we'll see how the timing works out.
But no, it's been mostly Overwatch. Competitive games drive me insane. That's why I was like super hooked on League of Legends for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Overwatch is just so well done.
Yep.
It's embarrassing to like every other game, I feel like.
Yep.
But they I dropped to rank 47 and then I was like, okay, no, I'm just going back to basics. Let's pull it back a notch. And I just started playing Soldier and I won just like 20 in a row. I got back up to my initial rank 51. And then I had a few whiskeys to celebrate, and then I was like, I'm just going to play whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm back down to 48, and I'm just like, oh, I hate myself.
Oh,
so tomorrow I want to grind it again and get back up there. So yeah, I want to hit rank 60. I think I'll feel good if I can get to 60.
Nice. So the rank, is that your season ranking, or is that your...
It's season ranking.
Okay, yeah.
Because then you also have player experience.
The season system looked really cool.
Season system,
watching that,
much like League of Legends. Or competitive games like that. So I don't know when they'll change. I think they're 4 months, 5 months. I have no idea.
Yeah, and they get like a reward structure and everything.
Yep, they'll have rewards for it.
Really cool,
a lot like League, so that's really awesome. And then they also have just your normal Call of Duty prestige system. Level up. Every time you level up, you get a loot box. Loot box drops random skins, emotes, blah blah blah, whatever, all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So yeah, the goal is rank 60 this season. We'll see. I think I'll get 50. 55 would be minimum. I'd want to, and I want to hit 60. So
is it 99 that tops out at, or where's the top out?
The pros. The top people are sitting in the 80s right now, and once you cross over a certain threshold, you become one of the top 500, and you don't have a rank anymore. You have a gold star, and you're just you know what you're like 32 or something, or 105 or whatever, but nobody else knows. They just knows you're top 500, and that's like bananas.
That's crazy, man.
And their ranks are like 80 to 90, so it's tight.
I started following it more. I was really impressed with some of the stuff I've seen the team there and their Twitter channel do. So
they do funny stuff. They do really funny stuff. I think they're pretty free to do that kind of thing. They grab memes and stuff.
Yeah, I saw that they had like the grip, and it was grip meme, when someone interrupts you when it's that time.
Well, yeah, it's like when somebody's
noon.
Overwatch talk. It's the real talk. No, and the channel or the directory on Twitch, I think it seems pretty positive.
It seems to be, I think that's the nice thing with the game is it doesn't seem like an overly hostile game, even though it is
the competitive side does have some toxicity if you're losing, but unlike League, it's not the matches aren't 45 minutes; they're 5 minutes.
Yeah,
so
you're not putting.
You're in, you're out, and it's whatever, right?
It can cleanse itself pretty quickly of any problems.
The compulsion loop on that game, though, is
it's pretty solid, right? I think that's the thing. Like a lot of us keep talking about different things, like as we're playing different games, and And that idea of like, you know, a 10-minute match is maybe more desirable than a 20-minute match
Way
these days, right?
more
and
desirable.
like, you know what? Like, I keep thinking about like a lot of the Battlefield matches that I end up enjoying the most are the ones that take 10, and then on the opposite end of the spectrum, like you get the crazy big team battles, and it's like, oh yeah, I like those ones when they're
the days of World of Warcraft,
hour, right? So
Ultric Valley, where like I'd be playing in there for 8 hours, and I'd go to work, and I'd come back, and it's the same match going on.
Yeah.
While that was epic, I'm over that.
I was gonna say, man,
I want my 5 minutes. Like if you quick play, it's 5 minutes.
That's cool. Yeah, I think that's the thing is like I used to watch a lot of streams. Like when I first got into Twitch, I actually watched a lot of World of Warcraft, especially like arena battles in World of Warcraft, which I didn't think was a thing. I didn't know that was a thing. Just because I never played, I was never a big MMO guy. I love the concept of MMOs. I just not a PC player and not a fantasy player, but also just like knowing my personality and what happened with me with Destiny and a few other games. I'm like, I would just disappear. Like I would stop functioning as an adult.
Yep.
And but I'd watch these streams. I was like, yeah, you're right. Like you'd watch these raids, especially in early goings. Destiny had this too. Watching the Wobblers team or their Goths team with T-Rex and Rowan and Cheriona and Rebel Eyes and Gunny. These guys, a group of 6, and it took them like 6.5 hours to get worlds first. When Kingsfall came out, I was like, holy fuck, man! Like 6.5 hours just grinding on that, just try to get
that's
it.
Short.
Like, and that seems short there, but yeah,
comparatively to WoW.
Yeah, WoW was like 24 hours, and so yeah, people were just like fucking going crazy with Red Bulls and stuff.
It was weeks for people to get world first on some of the bosses.
Yeah.
The early bosses. Now it's a lot different because there's betas and everybody's ready to go once they get in there.
Have primed on all the mechanics and everything.
Overwatch, for talking about like where our podcast is, ProducerHax, producer side of things. Overwatch is like best practices, not best practices. Masterclass in I don't even know what the word is. Execution.
Yep, that's the way to put it. I'd say
there's so much little things that they do. Like whoever's idea was to in the starting zone, so you have to wait 60 minutes for the match to start, so it gives teams time to pick champs, come up with a comp, and then also the defenders to get to the defense points, and while the attackers stay in their little bubble or whatever, right? While they wait to launch. Whoever's idea it was to be like, let's just throw a bunch of destructible shit in here. Genius. Because all you do is you just walk around and you break, like, there's arcade machines, and they're all based off of, like, Heroes of the Storm, Diablo.
That was really cool.
Everything's smashable.
Yeah.
One of the things has a basketball that you can get into a basketball hoop, and you get an achievement that shoots off fireworks if that happens. But it's super hard because it's all physics, right? Yeah, it's ultra.
You're doing it with a gun, probably, right?
All the world panels, or all the panels in the ships can fall off, and it's just, and the destruction stays between. So as you switch sides, you see how much damage they did to it and stuff. But it's just how whoever decided it's just such a small thing that adds such a high quality. Just while you're jumping around, like just shooting stuff, things start to fall apart, and you're like, this is like it adds nothing, but it adds so much for you to I don't know. Just kill time, I guess, while you're so that 60 seconds doesn't feel like 60 seconds.
Yeah, you can be distracted and not reminded that I'm a 60-second countdown, right? Which
and their
60
sprays
countdowns are that's like a long time.
It's a long time in a 5-minute match. 1 minute just waiting.
Yeah, sometimes watching a lobby take 30 seconds to reset in games, and you're like, make it go faster.
Another huge problem with League of Legends, especially when you're playing ranked, is draft mode. The first 5 to 6 minutes of the game
is just team selection.
It's team select.
Blocking, team selection,
and that's where the toxicity starts. It's like, well, I'm not healing. It's like, okay, I guess and people pick shitty things, and it's just, it's unbelievably well done.
Yeah, I think that's the thing is I'll have to start playing more of it. With everything leading up to the last couple of weeks and what was going on in life, basically, I was like, anytime I have to play games, I was just going to stay with where I knew I could spend a little bit of time. So I played a little bit of even Uncharted 4, like the day after we came home from the hospital. It was just like mom, baby, toddler all went for a nap, and I probably should have done the same, but I was like, there's no way I'm going to get nap in because then toddler would be kicking me in the face or whatever, right? And so I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to come down here and like just go into dead mode and play some Uncharted. But other than that, like I've been playing mostly Destiny, and I keep telling myself, I think I've said it on stream like 3 weeks in a row now, like I've got to get back to Overwatch. And it's a little bit different because I'm playing on console.
Don't even talk to me.
It's definitely a little bit different.
What
but
is
I'm gonna
competitive on
check it.
console?
Yeah, I'm gonna check it out. So
You're a bum, Rocky. You're a bum.
so
So that's it.
I think that's what we've been
And that's the
playing,
end of the podcast.
done.
Thanks so
Fuck
much. No,
it.
just
We're out.
kidding.
Yeah. But yeah, so the real topic for today, we've been talking about this a little bit. Because I think we're both in the same boat on this. We both didn't play Pokemon growing up.
No.
Right? Like, we're not too far off age-wise. You were probably more in the prime for being able to play. I was about a year or two removed,
I think I was a year or two out as well.
Oh, really? Okay, so then, probably about 3 or 4, realistically. I've always said I was the one selling the kids the crack.
Yeah.
Not, smoking it. So,
when the show came out, I was not into it anymore.
Yeah, and
I wasn't into cartoons. I was too cool for cartoons.
I was watching like X-Men and
I was into
the Fox
music.
Kids, like Spider-Man and shit like that. But yeah, I didn't play it.
I was into Akira when Pokemon came out.
Oh yeah,
I was into if I was into anime, I was into like the hardcore shit.
Akira and Ghost in the Shell, I was already like starting to catch
Stuff
on
like
to,
that,
right?
yeah.
And then like Evangelion and stuff. Like I was starting to learn these things
The ending of Evangelion. Okay, that's anyways.
Yeah,
a day for
that's
that's
a whole podcast on its own.
Another podcast. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, yeah. I gotta go back. I was saying on stream a few nights back. I was like, I really want to just buy like DBZ Blu-ray set, like the full Blu-ray set, and you can't find it.
Here's what you don't need. That. Why? Because somebody on YouTube
probably has
edited out all the bullshit, and it's only 3.5 hours to watch every single episode.
Someone, I think it was Rob Tachi, was telling me, he's like, you can go find DBZ Kai, which like cuts all the filler crap and all like the next time on, like the 30 seconds of buildup of like, oh, I'm dropping a mega deuce, right? Like no, I don't know, I kind of wanted to go watch it in its pure form. Like that to me seems like a great show to watch. Like you got Babel just nestled up, got the bottle, and then you just watch some DBZ.
It's not. It's like go back and watch G.I. Joe.
Oh yeah,
and you're like, this is awful.
Didn't hold up the way you think it is, right?
Unbelievably bad. I feel like Dragon Ball Z is the same, but then I go back and watch something like Berserk.
Oh,
still awesome to me. Still awesome. I don't know. Some other people might. Gatsu. Love that shit. Another. If you haven't seen, now I'm gonna forget it. Big Boss. What's that one? Gungrave. Yes, if you haven't seen Gungrave.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Played the game based on it.
What?
I think
there was a game based on it?
Correct me if I'm wrong, chat, but I thought there was Gungrave on the Dreamcast.
Maybe.
I could be crazy. I thought Gungrave was on the Dreamcast, and same with Berserker was on the Dreamcast.
Berserker?
Is that the one you're thinking
Berserk?
of? Berserk?
Do you know what Berserk? Okay.
Oh, maybe I'm thinking something different then. But yeah, there was Berserker, which is based on an anime in Japan. And it was like this dude who just had like a monster like Cloud Strife style sword. It was just enormous. And he just went full savage, that's Berserk. Right? Yeah, okay. So maybe it was just Berserk. I was thinking Berserk.
Gungrave is anime, obviously, but it starts off kind of like Berserk, where it shows what he's like at the end, and then it gives the backstory of how he's but it's like Asian mafia,
right?
So it starts off.
Sounds like Gungrave, yeah.
Yeah, that's Gungrave. Okay.
I think it is the same one then.
Either way,
okay.
When you get to if you watch it all the way through, like I got choked up near the end because it was like it's the history of these two dudes, how they came up through the Asian mafia, and then there's a bit of sci-fi starts showing up, and you're like, oh, okay, because they get into like they're scientists and they found the serum to make you super buff and all that kind of shit happens. But that's a good one. Anyways, way better than DBZ is what I'm saying.
Okay, all right, okay.
As much as I loved DBZ growing up.
Look at this, I'll take a look. Yeah, I used to watch DBZ on like YTV, like back in the day, right? Or Teletoon eventually got it, I think too.
There's only like 4 minutes of show on every episode.
Yeah, because it's like there's commercials and it's like previously on,
coming up next week, and
it's like
awful.
Okay, how much was actually a show in that? Yeah.
Anyway, so we were talking about anime. Okay, that was a tangent.
That was a weird tangent, but yeah,
because we're going to
Pokemon, and now Pokemon Go.
Yes.
So Nintendo's pretty. I've mentioned this a few times, but Pokemon's been a huge thing for years, right?
Yep.
Like I think it started in 96, 97 ish.
It helped sell Game Boys.
Yeah, I used to sell copies of it. Back in I graduated high school and went straight into like a week later. I was working at a game store and selling the cards, selling the games, and Yellow was just about to come out, I think, at the time. Red and Blue was like the first two big games.
Yeah.
They were coming out. They were out for a bit, and Nintendo does this great thing.
That
They're
was
so
the movie.
smart about they put it out right at the end of June. I think every year it was like June 22nd. And so kids are coming right off of school and going straight into summer camps or summer vacations, road trips, the whole works, going to the lake. And so they go and they play these, and they're like basic kind of RPGs, right?
Yep.
And then you start trading monsters and shit. And I was like, that's freaking genius, man.
Yep.
As much as I didn't want to play it, I was like, holy crap, is that freaking genius. Now this year, they've got, I think it's Sun and Moon is the version coming out. Because they always come out in pairs,
yep.
right? And then sometimes, like the off year, they put out like almost like a hybrid. Like if it was Red and Blue, then Yellow came out.
Right, right.
I know this actually because I bought Red and Blue and Yellow earlier today on my DS, because I was like, I do want to go back and play these and play them with my kids.
Shouldn't have been purple.
That's what I thought too. I remember actually making that comment, and then I was like, oh no, I guess red, blue, yellow is like red, blue, yellow is your primary colors, which was a weird way to combine them. But I think yellow is more just because of Pikachu. Like the star.
They could have a yellow cartridge.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But so anyway, I went and grabbed them today. I haven't started them yet because I'm still fighting that battle of like, do I start them ahead of time and learn the games, then be able to show my daughters down the road, or do I discover it with them and get them like 2DSs and then we can all play together in a couple of years? But anyway, I picked them up because I was like, I should grab them at some point and then learn them. But so again, this year, Sun and Moon are coming out. I think it's like in August or September, like before the school year starts.
Huh.
But to make up that gap, they worked with a company called Niantic, who's actually made up of former Google folks. They did like Google Maps, Google Earth. They did a game called what was the Ingress?
Yep, Ingran.
Yeah,
something.
I know it.
It's a thing.
I have it on my my one tablet, and yeah, I was like, okay, this is interesting, but I didn't really get into it when it first.
No, me either.
Yeah, it didn't have a hook really to me. Like it was a cool concept, and kind of almost built on like some geocaching kind of ideas, but it just like didn't really. It was almost like if you gamified. I hate that word. Foursquare.
Yeah,
and
no, that's exactly what it was. That's a great word. Gamified. Yeah. That's a great word for that.
I fucking hate gamified. It's called game design, man. But anyway, I had to use. But Pokemon Go came out and basically lit the world on fire. It seems.
Yep.
And I think I was saying to someone, my wife and I were talking about this the other day, because she's like, oh my god, see on Facebook all these stories of like people walking into traffic, getting hit by cars and all these things. I'm like,
they were gonna do that anyways.
This is not new to Pokemon Go.
No, exactly.
This is like in New York, they've banned blackberries from Manhattan because people walk into traffic,
just texting
and buses,
stuff.
using BBM. So, but I thought the brilliant thing about the timing of Pokemon Go is that we're already seeing this right now with Nintendo's in this weird phase where I think they're finally coming to grips with like, oh shit, we fucked up a couple times here. Like the Wii U didn't do nearly what they thought it would do.
What they needed it to do.
Or what they needed to do. They've struggled with the 3DS kind of falling off recently. This is probably one of the shortest lived cycles they've had for a portable system. Game Boy lit up the world. Game Boy Color was a refresh. Game Boy Advance.
Because people don't want portable anymore. They have their phone.
Their phone, right?
It's more powerful than your DS could ever be.
I love my portable systems, but they go in my backpack.
No,
and it's always a second thing you're carrying, right? Whereas your phone's in your pocket.
No, it's a very specific.
Right? So,
if you're buying a Game Boy or like I got the Vita off you, it was because of like I need something on a plane.
Yeah.
To distract me from flying, and I was like, all I want to do is play old SNES games. It's like so cool. I got Chrono Trigger, got Final Fantasy 6 or 3, whatever. And I'm like, cool. That's all I need. I literally like turned it on airplane mode after that. And I'm like, this will never purchase anything else. Like,
exactly. It is what it is, right?
Yeah.
So,
I
think that's the thing is, but so all this timing, there's all that, but what really struck me about the beauty of the timing of releasing this game was. And Canada kind of got the shaft. We were like a week or two late. That seems so stupid because Canada usually is like the foreground of test beds.
You know what I think it was? There must have been a huge problem with the because our communications law set
are
much harsher than other places.
Mm-hmm.
There's the Canadian content rules,
Yes.
and that turns like the
CRTC
Canadian broadcasting and
everything,
everything is
it's a gong show.
it's
so archaic and draconian that it's just like, oh my god, like this is how Nickelback has a career.
yeah. Hey, Nickelback rules. If you just want to listen to some straight ahead rock and roll, turn on some Nickelback. You know what you never see?
Podcast is canceled, folks.
You know what you never see? Anybody not having fun at a Nickelback concert.
This is true. I did go to a Nickelback concert in like 2003, I think it was. That was a lot of pyrotechnics, man.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's a good time.
It's just Chad Kroeger's voice, man. It's just like, I liked it when like you did the song for Spider-Man there, but that was like,
That was a good song.
yeah, with what's his name?
Oh, so you take it all back now, eh?
I got that.
All right,
I
taking
have
it
that
back.
album somewhere
Just
around
see,
here,
because it's
probably,
easy to hate on somebody who's successful.
Yeah.
But actually, this relates very well into Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
Is all the fucking haters.
Yes, that's what I was getting into. Is like people are going like, oh my god, like it's so stupid. I'm like, part of me is like, when I was 19 or 18 selling the game, I was like, oh, this is so stupid. I don't want to be part of this. But as I got older and kind of wised up to it, and some of the team members I worked with, especially as a QA lead, people would come in and on their lunch breaks, instead of like going to whatever, they were playing Pokemon on their DSs at the
quick
time, right?
little
And I was like, that's
short
cool.
game,
And I started to
15
learn
minutes,
more. I was
30
like, yeah, it's like, it is an RPG. I was like, it's got a lot of charm. It's got, it's got collection, which I love that kind of stuff. So I was like, man, I don't know why I was so dumb. Maybe it was just like, it was at that time in my life, 18, you just think you're invisible and you don't have to do what other people are doing. You march to your own drum. And
So breaking it down, so like Nintendo's made a smart choice with how they released it and when they released it, on partnering with Niantic.
Yeah.
Because if you're partnering with the guy who made Google Maps,
you're probably ahead of
gonna
the curve,
be
right?
very, because this guy's not making, he's not working for money.
No,
right?
exactly.
Like,
He's doing passion projects probably at this point, right?
Ultra
So,
genius. And
yeah.
on their side, partnering with Nintendo and getting the Pokemon brand.
Yes, that was huge.
And
that's actually where I was going to go with this. Yeah. So the brand, I think, is perfect because kids now still love Pokemon. But, so going back to the timing of this, is that you release Go at a time when, like, I'm 35.
Yep.
When I first learned about Pokemon, I was 18.
Most people playing it are our age.
Yeah, and it's 17. Like, it's been 17 to 20 years now since it came out, and kind of took the world by storm at that time. So you get this. Nintendo's done this a few times, right? With like the rehashes of Mario and even now Zelda that's going to come out with the Wii U and then the NX. Is that you capture the group that grew up with it, and you capture the group that's about to grow up with it.
Star Wars.
And yes, Star Wars. Yeah, exactly. Episode 7 just boom, nailed it, right?
Yep.
You capture all the folks that have
You get my dad.
grown up with,
You get
my
me.
dad was like, yeah, and I, yeah, and
then now
my
the kids.
we're gonna learn this too, right? So, yeah, I'm very impressed with it.
Here's the thing, though, that I'm not as impressed with it. It's an amazing piece of technology that is utilizing a huge data set. And a lot of math to make like where the Pokemon stops are, how often the things spawn, blah, 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 blah. There's not a whole lot of game in this game.
No, it is more of
But I think that's it's changing how
Yeah.
we perceive what a game is.
I think that's the part that struck me too, is that to classify it purely as a game in the way that the previous games were, I think you're doing it and yourself a disservice. I think it's better to think of it as like almost like an activity initiator. So like you see these giant flocks of people.
It's an excuse to hang out
around, and I think that's it. It's a social component of getting together and meeting people that you wouldn't otherwise have met.
Here's what it's doing. It's taking the social connection of social media, which isn't like Twitter, Facebook, and that, and it's making it. It's forcing you to turn that into an actual, real world connection.
Yes.
Or so it's an activity that you'd be doing anyways on your Twitter, whatever. But you have to walk around the block.
Yes. Yeah.
The amount of people I see in my block walking, like there'll be like a couple or a couple with their kid, and there's one of them's got the dog, and they all got their phone ready.
We had a couple walking their two dogs and like the baby stroller right in front of our house as we got back from a shopping trip today, and both parents were staring directly at the phone. And my parents were like, oh, I wonder what who they're talking to or whatever. I'm like, they're not talking to anyone. They're looking for Pokemon.
We just walked down White Ave today, so we went for lunch, and it was like. We just walked down. There's Pokestop every block, and I got I think 10 Pokemon on the way, just
Oh,
up and
geez.
down. It was an hour, whatever. But like we would have walked down. Actually, no, because Sarah wanted to do something else, and I was like, well, no, we're already on White Ave to go somewhere else. We only have so much time. Blah blah. I'm like, well, let's just walk up and down and catch some Pokemon. She's like, oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's when.
And she goes into a knife store, and I just stand there. I'm just like,
just catch a few things. Right?
Catch a few things.
Like, I think that's the thing is like the one area I noticed is when we were in Costco today, which actually wasn't terrible because it's a long weekend, thankfully. So Sunday normally is death, but it was pretty good. And I thought it was interesting. Like they gotta probably find a way to get like almost like signal boosters at some locations because you go into like a mall or something like that. These places would be great for Pokestops, and you see this a lot where like people are sponsoring like the classic Ford. We're in a battle with Toronto and Calgary and Istanbul for some reason.
Well, no,
they're like, we're a Pokestop and we got 1,000 points if you buy a Ford F-150. It's like, what?
Yeah, no, it doesn't. It's like, are you a bad manager because you bought too many trucks to sell from
but they're capitalizing on the whole Pokemon thing, and I was like, they're totally gonna get people in there.
It's I saw a great one with a zoo where they're like, okay, we're gonna have our little tram go around. We're gonna have a Pokestop at each of the creatures, so you actual animals.
Yeah.
So you're catching Pokemon in a zoo and it's like it was free for kids, $5 for parent, ultra, and they're like, and we're gonna drop lures every 30 minutes. Around the zoo.
That's smart business right there.
A bunch of restaurants are now dropping lures.
Yeah,
because the target market isn't kids.
No, it's the parents.
It's me. It's me going to a bar. If there's when we were in San Diego, it was a madhouse. Razor can probably tell. I see him in the chat. It was like this is a desolate wasteland. But in San Diego, it was just Pokestops nonstop, gyms nonstop, and people were just dropping lures at bars, being like, "Yeah, we got our lure going right now," and they're just so they're spending $3 every hour to drop a lure, and it gets people to come in. Oh yeah, well I'll just go have a beer here because Pokemon are coming to me, so I'll just sit and drink. And
well, and if you're in a group, you can also do things like, and I saw this. It didn't really take off in Montreal because it wasn't officially in Canada when we were in Montreal. It was all of us were like.
It turned on the day I got to San Diego.
Yeah,
and I was just like,
I was like, holy shit, it's out in Canada because I was in a stream and someone was like, it's finally available in Canada. I'm like, oh really? And then checked. I'm like, oh yeah, shit, it's actually got an update for me now. But I did the thing where. You go hack it and you do the American account. Now I'm a little worried because it thinks I'm in like San Francisco, but whatever. So we'll see how that goes. But the interesting thing I thought was like you get a group and I saw this on Twitter and
Gamedev was doing it.
Yeah, people they were doing a Pokewalk today, right, down in Tampa at Busch Gardens. I thought, that's a freaking great idea. I went and bought one of those giant Anchor 21,000 milliamp hour battery packs with double plugins because I was like, this thing saved my bacon a few times in Montreal. Yeah. Justin, one of our online programmers our web programmers, had his, and he just kept making sure I had a connection because my battery just kept dying because the game just devours it, right? So I think overall the game is doing really cool things. I'm very impressed with it. The thing I was gonna say about the haters, and my wife was kind of like getting on it a little bit too. She's like, oh, it's so dumb seeing people do these things. I was like, but
so let's talk about the haters, and then I want to talk about the game aspect of it and how the problems I've been having with it.
Yes, there are some things. Yeah, so with the haters, the thing that upsets me a little bit with that is just that. First of all, if you don't like it, just don't like it.
Just fuck off.
Just don't piss on anyone else's parade, right? Like
it's the normal hater thing where it's just like, who gives a fuck? This doesn't
I'm not
affect.
happy, so someone else can't be happy.
This
right?
doesn't affect your life at all.
Exactly.
Who give a shit?
And to me, the thing that it has won over someone like myself, who when I was selling it, I was very much like, I don't want this in me. I don't want it in my life. I don't want this involvement. Like. No, it's not for me.
Yeah, when I was younger, it was like, oh, such and such isn't cool, so those people are stupid or whatever. Games or music or anything, right? And then you hit a point of maturity where it's just like, let people have fun.
Yeah, like I listen to Katy Perry now because, well, Katy Perry, but I wouldn't have necessarily done that years ago, right? So, Pokemon has crept into that aspect for me now too, and I was like, oh, you know what? As a parent, I'm gonna have to learn this probably for my kids, but. I like what you were saying earlier, which is it's not necessarily for the kids. And I actually was making this point to my wife and a few friends recently where I was like, you got to remember that as much as you say, okay, like this is stupid, people are doing dumb things, all these things were happening previously. Like I said, there was people walking into traffic, getting hit by cars, just staring at Facebook or BBM with their BlackBerry or whatever it may be. And at the same time, I was like, but you got to remember that it's the parents that are doing this for the most part, right? Because you have to have a cell phone.
Yeah.
It's not like, there are kids.
A lot of kids are starting to get it.
I've seen a lot of like 11, 12-year-olds now getting cell phones because it's a means for like the parents to stay in contact with the kids after school and stuff. But for the most part, it's going to be the parents, right? And most parents, I hope, are wise enough to go and put like some sort of lock on the spending on the account so they're not buying lures.
Yeah.
But I was not necessarily tied to the haters, but what you were mentioning with San Diego. I got back into Edmonton and turned on my phone right away, and then I was like, oh wow, well, here's the desolate wasteland of Edmonton out by the airport and nothing, right? It's just like a dead field.
And people are talking about it in the chat. It's like the fact that it's based on the Ingress stuff.
Yeah.
Awesome data set to go from.
Yeah, but it's old.
And
our neighborhood barely exists.
Our neighborhood doesn't have anything.
Yeah, there's parks everywhere.
So it's going to make me spend money to get Pokeballs.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and it's just they need to tune this.
They have to, yeah. But I know you can go to a few sites and that I say go to this. And I know where we were, the hospital where our daughter was born, both kids, I guess. While we're there, like, mom and baby are trying to sleep. I'm like trying to figure out if I can sleep that night. And I'm like, oh, there's a Pokestop at the front of the hospital at the other wing. And I was like, son of a bitch, but it's just like someone had put it on like a painting that was in like
that's
art.
what I love that.
That's so cool. But I was gonna say, like, the thing that was really interesting is like I was watching Char Lanazard. She's Alana from IGN. She was posting a picture of like her neighborhood in San Francisco, and it was just like everything was a Pokestop. Gyms everywhere, and lures overlapping each other. Jesus. And I was like, holy crap, it's a minefield of like, you just step on anything and you find stuff. And I was like, that's so crazy, because like that was literally happening in the moment where I looked at my map and I was like, there's nothing. I get like a Rattata.
A Rattata's hanging up on my house every 5 seconds.
Yeah, or a fucking Pidgey every little while. I was like, oh.
Although I did just evolve my Pidgey. He's doing pretty good. Anyway, the thing that I really love about it, before it released in Canada, I was just watching YouTube videos, and it's like people are on Santa Monica Boulevard.
Yeah.
And it is like on the pier.
Oh, you see the
banana running. They're like, oh, there's a Clefairy at the end of the pier. Just and it's just, to me, watching it as a third party because we couldn't play it. I was just like, what the fuck is going on?
Oh yeah.
This thing is changing.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yep.
How people hang out, where they hang out, how they interact in there. So it is true augmented reality is what they're calling it. It's such a cool, I don't know, it's such a cool fucking thing.
Yeah. We saw a little bit of that when we were in Montreal. It was telling of how many people were hacking to get the game, because there was a mob of about 45 kids, and at first like it was all like teenage girls, and we're like, they look like they're about age to go to the bar. They look like they were dressed to go to the bar. And so like, oh, they're going to the bar, because we're all of us were from the studio. We were walking towards a bar, and we're going to grab drinks after dinner. And we see this huge mob of girls. I'm like, oh, so they're going to the club, whatever. They're going to do a dance and have a good time. Nope, they immediately 90-degree beeline to a park where there was a statue set up right by a couple churches. So there's like a church, which is a gym, this Pokestop, and then another gym within like a block, and they just fucking swarmed. It was like watching a human swarm move through this, and I was like, holy shit, this is big.
The videos from Central Park huge. And stuff.
Yeah, when they're like, oh my god, there's like a, what was it, a Squirtle that showed up in
something, Charizard
or something that showed up in the middle of Central Park at like midnight. And you're seeing it on police scanners.
Police are getting called to be like, investigate noise at this park at 3 a.m. and it's just like,
hear the police go,
there's like 100 kids here.
There's a Charizard here.
It's
there's a Blastoise here. Like, oh.
The hater thing, you see it on the Twitter. It's just grumpy old man yells at Sky, but it's the Vaporeon. Oh, it's a Vaporeon.
That's right.
You mean the broken Pokemon?
Yeah.
Hey,
yeah.
Salty.
Well, I saw Vaporeon. I saw someone posting a pic. Destin from IGN was posting like a double Onyx in his neighborhood the other day when he was in Vancouver.
Bullshit. But no, the haters, how, back in my day, or not even that, it's the, this game's ridiculous. You should take a look at your life. Like, you're what are you doing? You're just putting on your phone all the time. And it's like, no, they would have been inside not playing, not going out. Like,
Yeah.
all my friends are like, yeah, my dog is like exhausted and fucking tired of me.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
like,
I saw that too. The legacy of the game will be the dogs everywhere.
dogs
and
everywhere
dog
having
walks.
heart sisters. Like, this is too much.
Heart attacks
I
on the
can't
rise.
do this because it's getting people out. It's getting people interacting. It's such a. I'm amazed to see. I'm interested to see where it goes, but I think this will probably last a year. Me.
Yeah, it'll
But
be
then
very interesting to
it's
see. Yeah.
what once the clones pop up and then the clones go away, what's going to be the next thing to take this to the next level?
Yeah.
And not Pokemon really, but like I don't even know where you go with the augmented reality stuff.
I was gonna say like so Miitomo came out and kind of took the world by storm for like 2 weeks, and then it phased out so quick. And I don't know if it was because people were aware that Pokemon Go was getting ready to come out and they just phased away from Miitomo, or for me it was just like it just didn't have enough to hold me. Like Miitomo was interesting, but like it did some really cool things with like social activity in terms of like you ask questions, you answer questions, all these things.
Yep.
I was like, this is really cool. This is Nintendo once again showing that they, as much as they always seem borderline socially inept and online inept for sure,
they are ahead of the game.
They actually
every time.
are so far ahead of everybody else that we just don't know.
Yep.
Until it happens, and we're like, oh fuck! Like
if you go back,
they sit way back, and then all of a sudden they go boom.
If you go back and look at Nintendo's hardware, they always, to everybody, it's always looked, oh, it's dated. Whoa, they're using cartridges instead of discs. Or why would I use a Wii remote? I need a faster blah. And it's like, if you look at it, Nintendo's always been so far ahead of everybody else on delivering what's actually coming next.
Yeah.
That they're almost too far ahead.
Yeah, they're about. I think that's a lot of people comparing them to Sega right now, right? Saying like, "Oh, they should go software only." I disagree. I really want.
I want them to go software only.
I felt that way for a little bit. I really want to see what happens with the NX right now.
Yeah, no, they're super innovative.
Because I think they are about to do something interesting. It's funny because someone posted the picture of one of the devices they launched in like the early '80s, where it's like a little console and then it split out two little dongles or whatever with like a wire into it. And you could play 2-player on this little portable machine.
Yep.
And everyone's like, there you go, there's the new NX. And I was like, they're not wrong. They're probably not wrong, because if you think back to how you got the DS, the dual screen, it was really a new modernized version of the old Game & Watch games where there's two screens and you played it. And I was like, they go back to the vault better than Disney does. Like, so yeah, with Nintendo, I'm very curious. The thing I am very curious about is the longevity of this game, because like I said, Miitomo fizzled out very quickly. You're already starting to see a drop in numbers now for Pokemon.
But not just Miitomo.
Right?
Miitomo, Skylanders going down.
Yeah, a lot of these things, there's a bit of fatigue on these things, I think. The Amiibos have taken off like crazy for a while, but they're also starting to slump a bit.
Yep.
There was
new things come so fast nowadays.
Yes, and that's the thing, is like your attention is stolen constantly. I saw a comment earlier. I know Razor was mentioning, oh, well, 3DS outsells the other consoles. It is ahead of all the consoles, but it is dramatically slowing over time right now. And that's the thing that people are going like, oh, it's probably because there's been so many rumors that the NX is a portable device. There's actually rumors now that the NX is going to be called the Game Boy again. And that would be a huge bomb, I think, for them in terms of like just hype, right? Because you recapture the audience that you had 20 years ago. And that's Nintendo's magic, right? Is much like Disney, they go back to that vault every few years and they go, boom, here we go. And yes, it is, nothing new is coming out. And that's my concern with Pokemon Go, is that Pokemon Go, if it stays where it is right now, at some point they're going to have to refresh. Like, you can add more Pokestops, you can add more gyms, but that's just giving you more places to do the same things.
Yep.
You will have to add either
where's the gameplay,
new
where's
currency,
the new
new battles, new monsters is probably the biggest thing.
Yep.
So I'm curious to see what's happening. Disney Infinity died.
Yep.
It's just dead, and I keep waiting for it to go on crazy sale right now, because I'm like, once those figures drop to like $5-6, I'll just scoop up all of them.
Why would you scoop up all of them?
Well, because at that point you can go, well, I can buy whatever 3 to 4 figures for the price of one, and at that
nobody's playing
ratio, you can go play it with like kids, right? So for me, it wouldn't be for me. It'd be more for like introduce. The thing I like about these games, with almost like it's almost got like augmented reality element to it, where you place the creature down, is that the start of that bridge from a child's standpoint. They often learn with physical objects, right? Yes. So my first daughter right now is playing with like blocks and Lego and everything else. And the next step will be, now she's starting to use the iPad a little bit. Like she's starting to kind of dip her toes into that. And I'm like, but if you had something like Skylanders, I think that's great, because that starts to bridge the gap of going from like a physical toy to an on-screen.
Well, it's
game,
the thing, right? You know, we're diverging here a bit, but whatever. It's our podcast. Do what the fuck we want. We do a lot.
We haven't done what we wanted in a long time.
The parents who are like, well, my kid's not going to have an iPad.
Yeah, not
my
kid's
house. Not going to get a cell phone till they're 16, or all this kind of stuff. And it's like, what you're actually doing is you're handicapping.
Yes, every other child will be ahead of your
every
child
other child, because it is such a different way to interface with technology.
Yes, yeah.
I even find, like, Sarah's got a MacBook or whatever, like you have, and she's like, oh, order the pizza or whatever. And I'm typing away. I was putting in the address, and I kept pushing the screen.
Oh, yeah.
I kept touching the screen to go to the next, like, fill in your postal code or whatever box. And I'm just like, oh, this is so frustrating.
Yeah.
Why can't I do this? If you aren't letting your kids get into this kind of technology sooner, they're going to have a hard time, you know, ramping up to the rest of it.
It's absolutely true. I think in my daughter's daycare, she just had her final day on Friday, just because, like, we're like, well, I'm going to be home for a few more weeks. My wife's going to be home for the year, basically. And so we said, well, we'll keep the kid. Sorry.
No, that's me. No, mine's not muted.
I thought it was mine because of, you know,
my bad.
Baby stuff.
My bad.
I should turn mine on or turn it off for a little bit. But I think when they reach 3 and 4, so not long from now, they move into iPads essentially, and they do little things. My daughter plays a game where she drags letters and spells words. She doesn't know the words right out of the way, but she recognizes the shapes, and it's all the recognition and movement and everything.
And I get the, there are some people do have a good point where it's just like, oh, you're not parenting, you're just giving your kid an iPad to watch Netflix for 6 hours. Okay, it's like,
that's a different story. Yes.
But
don't let the device become the babysitter. Right?
Exactly. And that's just the same thing with, computer games when I was growing up, TV before that, and it's like, you get, when you finish your homework, you can get an hour. And I was like, oh, sweet, get my homework done as fast as possible. Or it's like, you can play games up till 8 p.m.
Yes.
But you got to do your homework before it. So, I'd be like, well, if the faster I get my homework done.
Yeah, the more time I hold on to of that budget, so to speak. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing with right now with my daughter is starting to play a few games on the iPad. And it's oftentimes like, right now we're going to have to find ways to distract her when my wife is feeding the other daughter. Right. And little things that, and that does start to skirt maybe into that territory of the babysitter thing. But I think ultimately what it boils down to is that, if you're falling behind out of, like, whether it's ignorance or preference to say, like, oh, my child will not do this, you have to remember that the rest of the world is still moving at that pace, and you will fall out of sync. It was actually funny when you mentioned about touchscreen, because my friend, called the other day and congratulated us on the baby, and I was like, oh, thank you. And then he goes, I also need your help with buying a new TV. I was like, well, why? It's like, well, because my son, who's 6, is so used to using our iPad to watch Netflix or cartoons and stuff, that when he watched on the TV the other day, he forgot it's not a touchscreen and went boom and broke a whole bunch of pixels in the screen because he poked it very hard when it didn't respond the first time. So he's got like a baseball sized chunk of screen that just doesn't work anymore. And I was like, can you really fault the child? Because all screens at that point that they've interacted with have been touchscreens. So it's actually to them weird that the one screen that's the largest that would be the best for hand to use is actually the one that doesn't do the thing, right? So
it's very interesting how
that's changed, man. It's crazy. It's crazy. So
maybe to finish it off here, because we're running close. I was just talking about, I almost feel like this discussion's like null and void at this point, because we've kind of went off into other awesome territory. But the actual gamification, see how I use that word again, of the Pokemon Go game, I felt like they needed a game designer.
I agree. I think that's the missing element
right now. They needed a producer. Because the tutorials are terrible.
Yes.
I have no fucking clue what I'm doing all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
I had to Google, how do I use the egg incubator?
Yep.
And it's like, you go to your Pokemon, the ones you currently have section, with not your Pokédex, but your Pokemons, and then you swipe to the right.
Over, find it there.
But to me,
that's
I was
not-
like, this is so unintuitive. I went to my inventory.
yes,
And I was like,
where
oh, there's my
you can-
incubator.
yeah.
And I clicked it and nothing happened. It's like,
Yeah.
why is this on a different screen?
Yeah.
Why isn't it just in my inventory? Because every other item I use in the game is in my inventory.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. If you
So-
want to use like raspberries or
Or lures or
yeah,
anything like that.
So
No, it God, that was frustrating.
yeah. Well, and I was gonna say, like, I haven't tried the
Gyms, I had no idea how to fight.
I don't know how to do the gym stuff at all right now. I just know that there's one kind of nearby us. I've gone by it twice, and I've gone into like the parking lot and said, okay, I'll just pull over and figure this out. Oh, the first time you can't do this until you're level 5.
Yep.
So I got to level 5 right as I left Montreal. And there was gyms everywhere in Montreal, but I couldn't do anything. So I was like, okay, well, I finally got to. Thankfully, I had a few other producers and folks from the team there. They're like, oh yeah, you gotta hit level 5, and they were like playing nonstop, right? Like
I didn't know how to fight.
Yeah, I was like,
And so, you just tap like crazy. And I was like,
and
what?
I was like,
But
I
you
still haven't fought.
dodge
I
left
still
and
haven't-
right.
I still have not gone.
fought in
into a
San
gym yet.
Diego
Okay.
because I went to a gym.
Yeah.
We were at a Barnes gym right there, so
Yeah.
whatever. And the first guy to fight was like a level, CP like 15 Caterpie or something. I was like, oh, okay. Okay, let's do this. Like, I got like a Squirtle. We can probably, maybe I can win or something.
Yeah.
I clicked it, and I just got fucking destroyed. And I
Oh,
was just
really?
like, I don't know what's happening, because I guess the other person was just like tapping away, and I was just looking, and I was like, go do your thing, Squirtle.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, do I? And I would tap, and he would do something, and I'm like, there was no tutorial
Yeah.
for how to get this started or anything. There's no
Move,
tutorial of
yeah.
how to use Pokestops. Well, there is, but you have to go into a menu and then go into tips and go through 4 screens, and then it's like, oh, and Pokestops are this, and you gotta
Yeah.
swipe to get the Pokemon.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what the fuck is this?
I feel like I somehow skipped the intro.
Yeah,
not
I feel
knowing
like I
it.
skipped the intro too by accident,
I don't know how I did it because I don't remember pressing anything and
and you
skipping
can't go
anything.
back.
You can't go back. I do know that when I watched someone else set up their account legitimately once it came out in Canada, I was like, I don't remember seeing any of these things. And I'm wondering if maybe it was because I was not in the right zone
Yep.
or something like that. But anyway, all these things happened. I was like, what the fuck happened here?
Yep.
The thing that drove me crazy was, there was a gym right across the street from the hospital we were at. And so when I had to go move the car, I was like, well, I'll just try it real quick because I have to go move the car, gotta wait for a few things. And went to go in the gym, and I see that the creature that's there was like an Eevee that was like 958 CP.
Yeah.
I'm like, I think my highest is like 170 right
Yeah.
now.
What am I
Nope.
supposed to do
So
here?
am I just basically handing over my
I also find it weird that like
Zubat?
me and you sitting here right now couldn't both grab our phones and battle.
Yeah.
Why
that is a
isn't
thing.
that
Yeah.
a thing?
I was gonna say, like, now with so many phones having like NFC, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi connections, like that to me is the thing.
It
that
should
feels
just
like
say
it's a miss.
trainers in your area.
Yes.
And I see
And that-
Alien. I'm like, oh yeah,
I
let's do
think
this.
That's the legacy of Nintendo. What I don't know if this is. I'm curious to see how much is Niantic just going like, well, we don't have a game designer. We literally just reskinned Ingress as much as possible. Or is it Nintendo kind of holding on to some of their slightly archaic rules of like, well, we want you to interact with people, but not too much.
Negatively.
Because the thing that they've done for a long time with my 3DS is still the case, is you got to put in friend codes, which is super fucking annoying. Like, I don't get to say, like, find me by Alien. It's like, find me by this stupid code that's unique to each game, which is super annoying.
It's
Like,
so...
oh, you want to play Mario Kart 7? Or, sorry, Mario Kart 8? Well, no, it is 7, sorry. Yeah, you got to enter this 12-digit code for no reason at all. And I see, like, I know Nintendo's kind of been noted as saying, like, they haven't really had a whole lot of involvement other than saying, like,
No, their share dropped because people found out Nantech isn't Nintendo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But there's got to be a producer at Nintendo that's approving it, right?
Yep.
Like, this is just how production and publishing
Somebody's
works.
signing off on the brand.
There's someone going like, yeah, because Nintendo owns the Pokemon company.
Yeah.
A lot of people maybe forget this, but they branched off the company and called them the Pokemon Company. And there was I cannot imagine a world where there wasn't a producer there who is brand owner or brand sign off to say, yes.
It's
you
also
can or
funny
cannot do this,
when you
right?
see Nantech, like on the loading screen, it's like Nantech, the
Yeah.
Pokemon Company.
Yeah.
Nantech isn't the Pokemon Company.
No,
the
it's-
Pokemon Company
no,
is
it's
its
the
own
Pokemon
company,
Company,
right?
yeah,
Like
exactly,
it's just
right.
such a...
Yeah, and I forget the name. Pokemon Company used to be called something else. If you, I'm wondering if it'll show it as like Legacy, But when I go boot up, like, say, red or blue on my 3DS tonight,
Yeah.
just to check out, I believe it was, like, Game Brain or something like that. Mind Freak, that's what it was. It was like Mind Freak. It was like Chris, what's his face there? But yeah, it's Game Freak, I think is what it was called. Sorry. And like, yeah, they're just, I don't understand, like, why would you not offer that opportunity? You get everybody together, and then you make them go to another place to do the battles.
It's so what it is it's what we're talking about. They needed a producer, creative director who was hip to the game scene, right? Like, to what a cool, like, what were their core pillars of the game?
Yes.
Like, to me, Pokemon would be collecting Pokemons.
Yep, that's obviously key.
Leveling up my Pokemons.
Yep. Evolving.
Battling other people.
Yeah, leveling/evolving.
Leveling/evolving. And then battling.
Yeah.
Or trading.
Trading seems like it should be
whatever it is, right?
Can you trade in the game?
I don't think
you
so.
can, right?
So
which is a core component of the normal games
and the card games.
And the card games, and is now missing from
So
this.
to me, if I was making a Pokemon game, those would be my 3 core pillars.
Yeah.
Not Pokestops. While fun.
Yeah.
That shouldn't, but that seems to be like,
that's an activity-ish. And it's not even really an activity. It's like a press, flip, wait, press, move to next one, right?
Yep.
Or wait 6 minutes. And
so
then
what's the game? Like, you would think that battling should have been.
Yeah.
So when they pitched it, it just feels like, yeah, somebody took the brand, applied it to a bunch of data.
Yeah.
And pushed it out, which is, it's fine and it's super fun and I'm enjoying it. But to me, it's like, yeah, this is talking about the longevity of this. Does it have a chance for longevity based on the fact that there's no gamifying?
No, I think they are going to be. They're saying trading is coming out in an update. Okay, so if I haven't really been following like where it's headed yet, and I think I will start doing that quickly. But I think that's the thing is, for example, having worked on Mass Effect 3 multiplayer, one of the things that we used to talk about was, like, the activities are combat.
Yeah.
So you play the game, you play your 10 waves, or whatever amount of combat you get from however good you are in your group. You then earn XP, so you level your character, you level your kit, and then you also earn credits, so you go to the store, and that's how you unlock new guns, weapons, mods, characters, everything. Then you go actually spend the points and everything to level up and progress. And then you take those items back into a game. So there's like a 4-station loop, right? And that's what feels like is missing. I think that's why I'm not calling it a traditional game.
No, it's
like, not to fuel the haters' fire, but it is that it's not a true game.
Which is totally fine.
There's a series of events, and I'm okay with that.
Yep.
But I do wish, it does feel like there's something lacking. I'm curious to see what will happen.
But this is the longevity.
I saw Razor mention that it's coming in an update. I'm curious to see how much of it will be tied to when Sun and Moon come out, which is their next major release for the games on the 3DS. Will there be something there that ties back to Go, or are they saying, like, there's a new feature that they don't want to show off yet because it's meant to be showcased
or the servers can't handle it? Because I know there's been a lot of problems with that. But
their servers have been having nightmares.
It's the thing. So, like Jeff brings up, it's like the goal of Pokemon Go is to get people outside. It's like, it's doing that, and it's also bringing families together because it'd be, usually you'll see like a mom and dad going for a walk, and now you see a mom and dad and their teenager going for a walk with them, and the teenager's just behind, like, playing Pokemon or whatever. Before, that would never happen, and that's awesome.
Yes.
The thing is, how long can that last without having while I'm on a walk, I run into 3 other people that are obviously playing Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
Be like, oh, hey, like, what's going on? Oh, do you have like a level 50? Oh, yeah, you're level 50. Let's battle those 2. Instead of it being like, I have a level 5,000, get fucked.
Yeah.
Like, that's
I think that's the thing. Like, because
that would create the conversation when you bump into people at the Pokestop. Be like, oh, okay, what kind of Pokemon do you got? Do you want to trade anything? Do you, like, where's then the interaction?
Yeah,
because right now it's a solo game.
Yeah, it is. And
until you get to a gym.
I think you get to it, whether you get to a gym or, like, you see in a like, the videos, right? Like, oh my god, this Charizard or Vaporeon is, like, in the park.
But even that.
Everybody, and it's like someone shouting or someone
But
going,
none
like,
of those people are interacting in the game.
No, they're interacting socially with each other briefly, and it kind of is a, he's here, or it's, and they all just then, and they do the thing, they run, go get it, and then they all go cool and take their selfie.
And I'm just purely thinking from a producer standpoint, what's going to keep people playing my game?
Yeah, and
because once they all collect a Charizard,
cool, right? Like, it's technically an open economy too, though, where you can have multiples of a character,
and you can melt them down and all that kind of stuff.
Melt them into candy or whatever, right? But I think
there's no end to the grind.
No, exactly, and I think you can always be chasing a better one or leveling a better one.
Yep.
I think the thing that I started mentioning to someone the other day is that on the expansion is if they don't expand, I'd say by September 1,
Yep.
they're in trouble.
Yep.
Because kids will be returning to school. The ones that are, teenagers who have phones, or even a little bit younger than that, tweens, have phones, they come back to school.
Yep.
The first thing that they'll probably want to do is exchange and trade, right? And if maybe they will have it looks like, but if they don't have some other mechanic that causes a deeper social interaction there, it will just be, okay, like, let's go for a walk to 7-Eleven. Along the way, we'll stop at the Pokestop. Maybe it is 7-Eleven is the Pokestop. And we'll stop at the park on the way that's probably been flagged as a place where they'll spawn, right? So I'm curious to see how
I'm also not... So the trading, that's going to be weird because I feel like they missed an opportunity where different Pokemon should have been... Not should have. Different, like, it would have been interesting to see more, not region locked, but harder to find Pokemon, less random Pokemon is always spawning around me. It's like forcing you to go somewhere to be like, oh no, I know in West Edmonton Mall that's where the Charizard is or something like that, right? Like it forces you to get out and stuff. But like, a lot of people are talking in the chat about like, there's a lot of interaction because when I go to the Pokestop, I do talk with people. And I'm not saying that's not awesome, and that's not what I'm saying where there's nothing to do when you get there. I'm saying purely for the game, I want something to do with somebody else within the game.
I think this is the experience I have with the game right now, and I will admit I'm only, I think, level 8.5. Like, I'm not very far along, right? Like, I'm playing from home. A lot of the time that's gonna be like,
it's me just walking the dog, and there's no Pokestops around us, so
near our house.
I spend my balls sparingly.
Yeah, exactly. I ran into Meowth the other day. I think I threw 10 balls at him. I was like, fuck. That sucked. So, yeah, the thing I see, though, is like, you go like this. You get your stuff. And then you bump into someone else because you end up in a social space where, say, you and I bump into each other. Hey, cool. Is there anything spawning here? Yeah, you know what? I saw a bunch of EVs, or I saw Squirtles here. Oh, okay, cool. Where'd you see them? Oh, somewhere in there. Okay, cool. But again, it's to your point, is that's not an interaction in the game. It seems like the game is, again, and I agree, I think Jeff was saying it is meant to get you outside. It's meant to get you talking to people outside again, which is a very interesting social aspect to the game and very interesting goal for the product, if that's exactly what they were shooting for, which I think is what Ingress was shooting for, like, get people out there and talking to each other again. It's like the reverse Wall-E, right? It's like everybody's floating around in their hover chairs, staring at their screen, 8 inches away from their face. Now you have these people, and again, I was saying to the haters, it's funny, like, the same people, literally the same people. I don't go on Facebook often, but obviously recently with life events, I was on Facebook to share stuff with family, and I saw people in their feeds saying things like, oh, this is so stupid, this game is getting people out of their house and doing stupid things. I'm like, you're literally the same person, and I know this because of my job. A few years ago, you were like, I don't even understand your job because it's all about keeping kids stuck in the basement and this and that. I'm like, so now that this has been fixed, you hate it too? Like, you hate everything, basically.
No, that's
so,
right.
Haters hate, right?
Haters gonna hat, right?
But I think the longevity of the game is gonna be very interesting to see. I hope they find something. I can't remember who it was. It might have been
or whatever the next thing is.
It might have been the guys on IGN Nintendo voice chat that mentioned it, but there was this idea that maybe they could go back and say, with the new Pokemon games coming out on 3DS, maybe you release a pack where they don't look like the 3D renderings of the characters right now. They look like the old pixelated versions that shipped in the original games. Like that, like, as a skin set. I was like, that would be cool. Because if you had, I got Squirtle.
And even at the Pokestop, it shows that it's the pixelated skin because you're like, oh, that guy got the pixel skin.
Exactly. And if you go, ooh, like, this would be really cool, where you go like, ooh, I just landed a Squirtle. Cool, that's a cool character to run, and you're going to level it up to Blastoise or whatever, right? I'm starting to learn these things. But if you go, oh my god, that guy's got pixelated Blastoise, and he's level like 1,000, then you're like, okay, now you have another chase variant, right?
It's
as someone who collects toys,
it's the WoW thing, it's the Destiny thing, that's the MMO.
Skins and, Overwatch, obviously, too, right? So,
anyways, cool.
We've
I think that's all I have to say about
beaten this topic to death. I know there's been a lot of chat. Thank you guys, everyone, for popping by today. We've been gone for a couple weeks. We'll try to get back into our usual rhythm of weekly
Sundays
going forward. Sundays as much as possible. And I think it's there's a lot of good stuff coming on the next little while. I think we got a lot
Yeah, no,
of big
all the
titles
Destiny
coming
Con,
out.
TwitchCon, and new games coming out. I'm excited to talk video games.
Yep, there's a lot of big releases.
Pokemon Go,
starting
this
up
was an
right
awesome
away.
one.
Yeah.
This was an awesome one.
I love this. If you guys have thoughts on what you'd love to see us,
Comment below.
Comment below.
Wait, is this on YouTube? Oh, yeah, it
once
is.
it's on YouTube, we'll post the links. Obviously, again, here, let me just make sure that you guys have seen this. We do have a brand new URL for the podcast.
Check it out.
It's, let me just hear this.
Please throw Billy a follow here at twitch.tv/ehlien. Throw me a follow, twitch.tv/TheFiddzz.
Yeah, I got that here too. If you guys are curious.
Hey, that's
there
nice.
we go.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, no, thanks everybody for popping by.
Did it not work?
If you're in the
totally
chat,
didn't work.
it didn't work. You did it too soon. If you're in the chat, stick around for a few minutes while we just cancel the podcast and then come back just for
There it
some
is. It didn't get
for
updated.
some chatting with you guys. So if you're listening to the podcast, thank you so much. We will catch you all next week.
Take care, folks.